Courageous Doctors is a newscast about healthcare topics of concern to everyone. From health and safety tips to recall notices and medical news. Here's your host, Dr. Barry Prystowsky.
Good morning. Welcome again to Courageous Doctors, the new show for you and your doctor. Good to be with you again. As always, we'll review first COVID updates, then healthcare regulations with Obamacare and other regs, other interesting healthcare stories, and finally health and safety tips. So let's begin. With the COVID updates, first of all, as you know, as we're coming into more exposure in the summer, the caseload's going up. Hospitalizations are slightly going up, but not nearly what they were 2 years ago in Jersey. Around the country might be a little different. The R naught or contagious equation shows that it is now spreading more quickly. We're still seeing, for the past 2 years, steady 4 to 14 daily deaths a day. And so even though there's not as many hospitalizations as there was 2 years ago, people are still dying. And New Jersey is basically yellow with which red is high alert, yellow is next to high alert, and most of the state is like that. Masks are still voluntary, but I got to tell you, I wear mine. Let's see, Helio reminds us that even though the first couple of years in children, we were mainly seeing really mild to no illness, except for those really scary episodes where they had strokes and vasculitis and what we call multi-inflammatory syndrome. We always look for that. It generally came after, a month or so after having COVID. But those were fairly rare in New Jersey. But what we, as pediatricians, this past spring, we began to see for the first time croup, and Helio's just reminding us of that fact that we were seeing croup, a bronchitis related to the COVID. Let's see, Reuters reminds us that 1 out of every 5 people in this country, adults that is, have long COVID, so that 1 out of 5 of us, I had a pretty bad COVID 2 years ago that I just felt horrible for about 9 months, but I worked right through it. I didn't get sick enough to stop working, but it's a strong disease, and I can believe that 1 out of 5 of us just doesn't get rid of it that easily. Fox mentions that the FDA has now approved the Moderna vaccine for the 6 and older group. Remember, for the better part of a year now, we've been giving it first to the teenagers, and it was all Pfizer's, and then we got the 6 to 11, and finally this past spring or summer we started, I believe the summer we started with the under 5, and then the boosters were allowed. But now we've got Moderna, the advantage of Moderna for the little kids. Remember the under 5 group, the reason why there was a delay in Pfizer coming out was because the 2 shots didn't work. You get 2 primary shots and then you boost it 5 or 6 months later. And most of us now are getting a second booster if we're older or if you're immunodeficient. I think all of us are going to get a second booster eventually. But for the little kids under 5, they couldn't get it because the 2 shots weren't working. So now Pfizer's has 3 shots that we're giving. Moderna only has 2. So some of my patients are actually asking for Moderna. Although right now we're only giving Pfizer, we don't have the Moderna. But it's out there, it's approved. Let's see, the original reason why Moderna wasn't approved overall, Moderna has always been out there for adults, but the reason why it was a delay in being approved for the under 6 years old was because they were still worried about those few cases of myocarditis from the shot. Let's see, right now the CDC says that 3 out of 5 12 to 17-year-old teenagers are now fully vaccinated. I'm not sure if that means boosters. And 1 out of 3 of the 5 to 11 are fully vaccinated. And of course, we just started the less than 5. So I don't know if that includes boosters or it's just primary shots. But we're doing a lot better with teenagers than we are with the school-age kids. Let's see. Stat says that Novavax was now approved by the FDA. but that's for older kids, older than 18. And the advantage, we've been waiting a long time for Novavax to come out. Remember, these past 2 years, the reason why we got a shot so quickly was because we had this new technology, the messenger RNA, where you inject it into the arm, and what it does is it replicates, it replicates inside the cell. It doesn't become permanently part, as far as we know, of the chromosome, but it will use the cell to it'll take over the cell and cause the cell to make just the spike protein, not the virus itself, just the outer coating, which then causes our body to attack it and fight it. So we're not injecting the virus, we're injecting information to make the outer coating, the spike protein of the virus. But a lot of people were worried about that. Of course, we've all had it. But we were waiting for the old-fashioned traditional vaccine where you just inject a dead component of the vaccine, and then the body can just make its usual response to it. But that, of course, takes longer to develop. But now Novavax is that traditional shot. And let's see, lastly, Washington Post, the FDA wants the shots to now include new variants. Remember, the BA4 and 5 is the majority of the variants now in the country, and they want the winter shots when we for those of us, most of us, older guys like me, I'm over 65, I've had my 2 primaries and now 2 boosters, but they're going to ask all of us to get the shot in the winter with the new variant. Okay, let's move on to government regulations. We'll start with Obamacare. Kaiser, there's now 100 million people in the United States that have a healthcare debt, according to Kaiser publications. That's really scary. 100 million people in our country have some kind of major debt in healthcare with credit cards and things. 41% of those refer to adults, not children. And out of that, almost half adults, at least half of that, almost half of that, 40% are young adults, 18 to 29, and only 22% are over 65, probably because we all have Medicare. But anyway, it's pretty scary stuff. Star Ledger says, and this is very, very scary, 90,000 of us here in New Jersey could lose our health care coverage because, remember, a lot of us are on subsidies where the Obamacare pays for our premium. But by the end of the year, if we don't get the government, Congress doesn't give us the funds to pay for these Obamacare subsidies, a lot of us could lose health care coverage. It's actually part of the Build Back Better legislation, and if you've been following that legislation, you just realize that I don't know if it's ever going to pass. We have our own site for Obamacare. We call it New Jersey Marketplace. And the way it works, if you're an individual and make up to $77,280, you can get free premiums on this. We call them subsidies. And if you're a family of 4 making up to $159,000, you can also get the free. Let's hope Congress gives it back to us. Let's see, Fox News. Remember you guys, we just went through a horrible thing. Abbott Company shut down its liquid formulas. I believe the powder was still good, but the liquid formula, and we were searching all over. The president was trying to get companies to make more. He called on the the American Defense Production Act, which allowed foreign formula to come into this country, and I believe it's still coming in. Now, a lot of my patients have often gotten that organic formula from Germany or other countries, but now I think the company's going to officially set foot in this country and sell and compete with Abbott and some of the others. Anyway, the plant's back in functioning again, but remember, some babies had died from bacterial contamination in that formula. Bloomberg News, we have 998 now. So remember we used to have the suicide prevention hotline, which was a wonderful thing, and some people were calling 991 or the suicide prevention hotline. Now you can call 998, and you'll have somebody, if God forbid your you want to kill yourself or a friend wants to kill themselves, take their own life, call that number immediately and get some help. The Associated Press said that the FDA is holding back for now its ban on the Juul cigarettes. I listened to all those things. This was going on since the previous presidents. I listened to the back and forth, all the C-SPAN congressional hearings, and I really thought the FDA finally just banned them because I got to tell you guys, I see it in the office. So many teens are vaping, and the flavored cigarettes just is what these teens are attracted to, not just the nicotine, but the flavors. So, but apparently there's a temporary FDA put a ban, and they held their ban, so I don't know where it's going. Let's see, Associated Press. Oh, this is interesting. The Supreme Court told the Health and Human Service it still has to give money to specific hospitals in poor communities. We call them 340B hospitals, to reimburse for meds they hand out to poor patients. The government wanted to stop giving these hospitals money, thinking whatever they were thinking, and the Supreme Court said no, give it to them. USA Today says the Environmental Protection Agency will no longer allow any of those horrible fluorinated chemicals, PFAS and all of them, fluorinated chemicals, into our drinking water. Previously, they accepted up to 70 parts per million. Now, 0. Can't be in the drinking water. And, those come from all those companies that, you guys remember this, we've talked about it a lot. All the waterproofing stuff, the stuff for firefighting, the foams, all that chemical stuff, the stick-free pans, all those chemicals were getting into our water. Let's see, there's also a ban. Well, we talked about this before. Biden signed the law for the ban, President Biden, for the ban on the infant sleep products. And this is just reminding us, remember the rock and play inclined sleepers for babies that died? They're just reminding us to avoid putting your baby in rockers, gliders, soothers, or swings to let them sleep there. We're never leaving them alone without you watching them. You want them flat on their back. You don't want these inclined sleepers where they can die. And you certainly want a flat surface on their mattress. A nice firm mattress. You don't want any fitted sheets, fitted sheets, you don't want anything loose. You don't want blankets or loose pillows, crib bumpers, anything they can choke on. So, and try to use a crib or bassinet or play yard. Try not to let them sleep in these sleepers.
Don't go away, there's more courageous doctors after these messages.
Hi, I'm Ingrid Burke.
And I'm Gina Unger.
Gina has known Dr. Berry in a professional and personal capacity for many years, and we're thrilled to be in his building. We are psychotherapists, and we offer mental health counseling for ages 12 and up. We do individual, couples, and family counseling. We're also excited to say that we have groups that we have for teenage boys and girls for social skills, anger management, and self-esteem building. If you need to reach us,
check us out at lifeworksnj.com.
Our phone numbers are also listed on that website if you'd like to contact us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wax Den is a full-body unisex studio. We specialize in hard wax, which is gentler on the skin. We do all types of waxing from head to toe. You can come in with your friends, so you have the moral support. We have hors d'oeuvres. You do have to have a minimum of 8 people for that party, and you would schedule that. Everybody's looking for a hand to hold and then someone to share the experience with, so you can look that up on our website. We have prenatal waxing. So we take a little bit more time with the new moms, and a lot of people will schedule that once they hit their second trimester. We do have a waxing membership. It's set up just like a gym membership, and you come in just like you would go to the gym. It comes out automatically, and you just show up for your wax. We have several memberships for different services. We also have wax packages. The phone number is 973-542-8442. The website is www.thewaxden.com. We have 24-hour online booking.
Come to the Wax Den. We wax it all.
Courageous Doctors continues with Dr. Barry Prystowsky.
Okay, let's move on to other healthcare news now. As always, I always start with recalls, and I always start with the disclaimer that I'm doing this show late. I gather all the news information over a month or so, and then I do the show. So, it's possible that these things are now safe and back on your shelf. So I'm mentioning stuff that happened, but my disclaimer is please check with your the place where you buy your products and just make sure that the recalled products have been recalled and that what you're using is safe. So I always have a handful of them. CNN said that there's salmonella in certain chocolate. A Belgian chocolate factory, a Belgian factory making Swiss chocolate, shut down. It's called the Berry Alabate. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that, but anyway, it's the Belgian Swiss chocolate factory. There was salmonella in there, and I believe they're trying to clean that up. So, just check if your Belgian Swiss chocolate is good. Fox says, this was scary, Listeria in ice cream. I believe this month was National Ice Cream Month. And if you're in Florida, you can be poisoned with Listeria if you eat Big Olaf Creamery ice cream. Apparently, people have been poisoned all over the country with it, but they were in Florida and bought the Big Olaf Creamery ice cream. OLAF, Olaf, Big Olaf Creamery ice cream. Fox says that there was Listeria in Vidalia onions, and they were sold in Wegmans and Publix stores. Oh yeah, we're still seeing the salmonella from the Jif peanut butter. I thought that was all taken care of, and maybe it was, so please don't get me wrong. But it's still showing up in places like Deskin Candy, Deskin, still had peanut butter fudge, peanut butter no bakes, chocolate no bakes, and peanut butter pinwheels. So apparently this poison Jif peanut butter is still showing up. But again, check with your people because it might be all cleared up. The Lentil Daily Harvest company was making the French lentil and leek crumbles. I just read a recent update on that, breaking news update. They don't know why these people were suffering liver disease from eating these crumpled up lentils, Lentil Daily Harvest, French lentil and leek, lentil and leek crumbles. Hard to say. They're saying now, the latest update I just read was something to do with the kind of grain they were using, but anyway, we'll see. They're still looking into it. What's this? Creminelli Parmesan salami sticks. No infection, was just mislabeled. Left out eggs and peanut butter in case you're allergic. High-Vec potato salad. High-Vec potato salad. HYVEC potato salad. They don't know the germ that was in there. The expiration dates on the poison product was July 31st through August 4th. So you may have it now, and they don't know why people were getting sick from it. Trader Joe's chicken salad, not infected, just had an unlabeled allergen. Trader Joe's chicken salad. GMA reports that Natiera, Natiera, organic blueberries. I think they had lead in them, lead in your blueberries, so that's not good. And Crown Prince smoked baby clams have too much of that chemical that's in that PFA, that waterproof chemical we talked about. Okay, let's move on. Money Watch reminded us that all you people that love your backyard chickens, backyard local, your backyard chickens you're raising, be careful with salmonella. CDC wants to remind us to avoid eating and drinking near the chicken coops and wash your hands after touching the birds. Let's see, both Star Ledger and Washington Post. Oh yeah, this is the big one now, you guys. They reminded us of the monkeypox. We had one case in Jersey and Gloucester County. The vaccine company is Jynneos, Jynneos vaccine. It's similar to the old smallpox vaccine that I had as a kid. I think they stopped doing it in the late 60s, early 70s. But the government is sending it out to all the states. It's a 2-dose vaccine, 4 weeks apart. And I believe that if you've been exposed, you should get the shot within 4 to 14 days, 4 days preferably, but up to 14 in order to get protection. Monkeypox, it's like a mild smallpox. You get a flu-like symptom with big lymph nodes and pox marks all over. Not very pleasant. Let's see, NBC reminds us of Parecho virus, Parecho virus. It's on the rise in newborns since May and causes meningitis. Lovely family I know very well. Recently had a 3-week-old I took care of with this virus, and it's I don't know why it's similar to the old Coxsackie enterovirus, the hand, foot, mouth. It's similar to it, and why it's hitting newborns now, but nobody's sure, and we're all researching that and watching it closely. But just make sure your pediatricians, if you have a young infant and who's really not doing well, make sure they consider that. Let's see, New York Times reported on the New England Journal of Medicine article on liver damage that we've been seeing from the adenovirus, the adenovirus 41. Adenovirus is one of our common flus. It can look just like influenza, but it can also give a bad pneumonia, bad conjunctivitis. It can give bloody urine, and now we're seeing it can give liver disease. So I haven't seen the liver disease yet, but we're still looking for it. Let's see, HCP Live news organization reminds us that a lot of America has fat in their liver. We call non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So, we should all check our liver enzymes and ultrasound our liver if necessary. CNN says that there's a giant African land snail in Florida. I mean, this thing's huge. If you've seen the picture, it's like as big as your hand. And it's illegal to sell. So it's a huge snail. It's illegal to sell. The problem is it has rat lungworm, which is a kind of parasite that gets in your lungs. JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, says the CDC says that remember we talked about gabapentin. I don't know if you remember that. We talked about it, but maybe we didn't for a while. Gabapentin is a common drug that we use for nerve pain, and my dog is actually on it. The vets use it for back spasm. But there have been overdose deaths apparently from using too much of it, especially if it's used along with opioids or anti-anxiety or antidepressants. So you got to be careful of the reaction with gabapentin. Let's see, Reuters. This is nice. Remember, Trump started this under his presidency, but looks like Sanofi finally came through. They're limiting the out-of-pocket cost on insulin per month for $35 for a 30-day supply per month. So that's really great. I know how much insulin costs. I used to give it to my dog. And there's a shortage of lidocaine. Lidocaine's that anesthetic we use, and that's a lot of the stuff's coming over from other countries, China, India, and all. And so some of our dyes that we use in CAT scan contrast and things. So a lot of procedures are being held up because we should be making this stuff in America, you guys. Come on. I mean, let's get real. We can't do a test or use lidocaine or some CAT scan dye because of something from overseas. I mean, that's horrible. Let's get real. Let's make this stuff in America. Okay, let's move on to our last section, health and safety tips. And this is very brief, but should be fun and quick. One article talked about the mercury in canned tuna, and this is interesting. It said that if you buy the tuna, canned tuna made with smaller tuna, it's going to have less mercury. So they suggested choosing shipjack, SHIPJACK, over the larger yellowfin or albacore tuna. I didn't know this, people. I didn't know this, but it makes sense. WebMD just reminded us some people eat mango skins, MANGO, mango skins. Reminded us they do have pesticides, and they do have urushiol, 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 which is the allergen found in poison ivy. So if you're sensitive to that, you probably shouldn't be eating it. Health Day talks about the phthalates Remember, we just mentioned all that stuff, the fluoroalkyl chemicals and the phthalates. Women that have this in their urine are having early preterm deliveries. So we really got to get this stuff out of our bodies. Fox says that Walgreens and Kroger is recalling its pain reliever medicine, like Tylenol, Motrin, aspirin. Nothing wrong. It just lacks child restraint bottles. And the British Medical Journal said that there's an increase in trampoline injuries. So a lot of my patients, they have these in their backyard. I just remind them, be careful. Almost done. Let's see. Healthy eating. ETNT, Mind and Body. That's the new show. They said, and the author, Jordan Summers Marcoulier, I hope I pronounced that right. Marcoulier, talked about 6 interesting sleep supplements. Remember, we talked, this is the thing we talked about last time, that some kids were being overdosed on melatonin. A lot of my patients use melatonin, just don't overdose on it, that's all. But, so she has 6 alternative supplements. She has valerian root, magnesium, L-theanine, which is an amino acid, the CBD, the marijuana thing, glycine, another amino acid, and doxylamine. So, interesting. Valerian root, magnesium, L-theanine, glycine, marijuana, the marijuana derivative, and the doxylamine. Let's see. Lastly, you guys, and we'll be all done. Health Eating by Kayla Garitano. I thought this was kind of fun. She talked on pumpkin seeds. I don't think that's something we ever talked about before. I honestly didn't know this. Pumpkin seeds has zinc, has fiber, which is good, but if you eat too many seeds, the fiber can give you gas. It has tryptophan, an amino acid, but that can make you sleepy, so don't eat too much. Has vitamin E, iron, calcium, polyphenols like your teas and vegetables, anti-inflammatories. And it's unsaturated fat because it's a vegetable, right? So you have a quarter of a cup, so only 180 calories. It does remind you, besides not eating too much, to chew it carefully because the seeds can irritate your esophagus. All right, gang. Keith, it's been fun. It's a faster show. As always, I enjoy seeing you. Enjoy a nice, safe summer. Last time we spoke about the safe suntan lotion and safe mosquito repellent and tick repellent. So you can refer to my earlier show for that info. But looking forward to seeing you again, probably towards the end of the summer. Make it safe, be healthy, stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time.
Courageous doctors, pioneers and heroes. Executive producers Barry S. Prystowsky, MD. And Patrick M. Marucki. Post-production Patrick M. Marucki, makeup by Lisa McAllister, salon Jimmy Gerards. Music provided by Video Blocks. Special thanks to American Medical Association and New England Journal of Medicine. Visit us on the internet at courageousdoctors.com.